Red Bull has been having an amazing season. They're quite clearly going to be winning the Constructors' Cup, and they're also winning the Drivers' Championship. Their car is literally unbeatable, and Max Verstappen is in form. But it could all come crashing down as Red Bull and everyone else wait on FIA's statement on their breach of a cost cap. So stay until the end of the video to learn all about it. First up, massive twist in the F1 cost cap scandal as Red Bull awaits judgment. Here's what's happening. Red Bull is going through a crisis. Apparently in 2021, they breached the cost cap, an initiative that they themselves supported, mostly because Mercedes kept throwing money at their car to keep it winning, and adding a cost cap would be like taking away their biggest advantage. So from supporting the measure, they've somehow ended up in breach of it. Rival teams privately briefed reporters that the Austria-based team had overspent the $145 million budget cap last season by at least $10 million. If the allegations prove to be true, Red Bull could face a plethora of potential punishments, including having Max Verstappen stripped of his 2021 title. But as always with F1, FIA and Red Bull, there appears to be a twist. So chances are the team is all set to escape serious punishment over alleged breaches of the 2021 cost cap in a stunning twist to one of the season's biggest sagas, off the track at least. At the same time, Christian Horner, the principal of the accused team, isn't having any of that. He has threatened to sue rivals Ferrari and Mercedes for their hugely defamatory and totally unacceptable comments. He declared that the team came under the cap. At the same time, he questioned where the teams were getting their information from. He's alleging espionage. We don't support Horner, and neither are we against him. But one thing we should mention is that his language is not of the innocent. Considering how worked up all of this has gotten him, many folks in F1 think something fishy is happening. Next up, how will a team escape punishment? Bribery. Kidding, of course, but that's what Ferrari and Mercedes fans on Twitter have claimed. Whether Red Bull is in the wrong or not isn't the problem here. The problem is they're too darn good, they're too darn fast, and they're winning this season, and they're also expected to win the next season. So accusations from disheartened fans shouldn't be given too much attention. But there's something up for sure, because the FIA was all set to announce their decision on the 5th of October when they stated that they were delaying their announcement to the Monday after Japan. The problem is, Max is very likely to snag the title away that day, so it'll lead to some other complications. A decision from the FIA is expected on that Monday, but the fresh reports now claim that Red Bull will avoid a major punishment. According to a major publication, Red Bull may not be found in breach at all, or if they are, it is most likely to be a procedural breach. The punishment for a procedural breach is just a slap on the wrist. That would likely see a financial penalty imposed on the team rather than a sporting penalty, just as points deduction or disqualification. At the same time, another publication has claimed that the team did overspend, but by $1 million, not the 10 claimed by rival teams. The point is, they're extremely likely to get away with it, whether they did it or not. So Mercedes and Ferrari fans should keep their expectations low. Moving on, the best source for F1 information, Twitter. Again, folks, we're joking. Please don't believe everything you see on the internet, because if Twitter is to be believed, Red Bull is a devil team that's cheating and bribing the FIA, and Mercedes Toto is a big crying baby who couldn't handle losing in 21. But it's still important to see what publications, F1 journalists, experts, and fans are saying about this, so let's dive right in. First up, Lewis Hamilton. Of course, he's going to be impatiently waiting for the report, because if, and that's a big if, folks, it comes in his favor, he'll win the 8th World Championship, beating everyone's record. Right now, he has 7 wins, which ties him to the first position with Michael Schumacher. Again, he stated that he was waiting, and he didn't get why they delayed it. He further stressed that transparency is important, especially in cases like this. Then some random account spread some fake news, stating that the FIA has found Red Bull to be in breach and has punished Verstappen with a 3-place grid penalty in Japan. Now, regardless of whether it was satire or not, folks started believing that and got angry. Dear viewer, that's not what happened. The decision will be announced after Japan. Then someone shared a meme with the caption, FIA rulebook leaked, and it was just an empty book. So y'all get the atmosphere. Everyone's expecting the sports governing body to side with Red Bull, and they're expecting them to act as corruptly as possible. Moving on, what's wrong with how FIA is doing things? Confidence in the FIA is low, very low. Rightfully so. It took them 2.5 hours in Singapore to penalize Sergio Perez for 2 safety car procedure infringements, and doing so with inconsistent wording in its reasoning, and ultimately dealing with a punishment that appears out of the rest of the cases with the same offense this year has done nothing to help. The FIA always screws it up when it comes to Red Bull. Or are you forgetting the whole Abu Dhabi fiasco in 2021. The problem is, faith must be restored in the system, and that can only be done if they make the right decision in the case of overspending. Now, folks don't trust the governing body, and neither do the racers. That's extremely dangerous because they hold a lot, and we mean a lot, of power. On Wednesday, we will find out if any of the 10 teams can expect to face a hearing should they not receive a certificate of compliance. How those teams are dealt with will be key. And of course, the paddock speculation that finally bubbled into the public domain at Marina Bay is that Aston Martin might also be off the limit. Not as much as Red Bull, but still, Aston also denies this. But the thing with Aston is, no one cares, since they're being disqualified won't make much of a difference anyways. But the FIA must handle that case properly as well. What's more, how should the FIA punish any breaches in the F1 cost cap? As of right now, the only fair punishment for any team that gained an advantage by breaching the cap is to put them at a disadvantage. That would mean that they should lose their research and development time as well as their budget. Anything over 5% will, according to the FIA's rulebook, be declared a material overspend breach, and that opens a swath of hardline penalties. Problem is, the cost can be manipulated in a way that it seems like they did only breach within 5%, regardless of whether that's true or not. Toto Wolff is one of the folks who are in the camp of extremely strict punishment. According to him, if you've been over budget in 2021, then it'll help you in 2022, and then that will also give you an advantage in 2023. According to him, this cascade of events will influence all 3 championships. Everyone unanimously agrees that the way to punish Red Bull is to strip them of their titles. Anything less will be a slap on the wrist. For example, if Max Verstappen starts from the very bottom of the grid, considering he's in an over-advantaged car, he'll still manage to snatch a few points, thus winning this championship unfairly too. Finishing up, what does Abu Dhabi have to do with this? Alright, here goes nothing. This really wouldn't have been much of a problem if it wasn't for what happened in Abu Dhabi last year. It was the last race of the season, and Verstappen and Hamilton were tied for the World Drivers' Championship. This race was going to be the make-it-or-break-it of the season. In the last remaining laps, Nicholas Latifi crashed, thus summoning a safety car. Hamilton was clearly in the lead, all set to win the Grand Prix, and consequently, his record-breaking 8th championship. Now, at the point in the race when the safety car was triggered, normally the race just ends under the safety car, and everyone who was in whatever position retains them. Since Hamilton was in first, he stayed out expecting to win the race. Max had nothing to lose, so he stopped for a fresh set of soft tires. Suddenly, it was announced that the lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen could now unlap themselves. However, no other lapped cars were allowed to do that, and with no space or buffers between the two, the race began. This is where we remind you again, this was extremely unprecedented. Anyway, Verstappen, on fresh tires, overtook Hamilton and won his first ever world championship. Ever since that, folks have been extremely bitter towards the FIA, assuming that whatever they do it to benefit Red Bull. And honestly, they might just be right, considering the chain of events. That's a wrap for this video. What do you guys think the FIA's decision will be? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. See you at the next one.